Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight there is more outrage and protests after 4 children are shot dead in the Sudanese city of El Obeid during student protests against bread shortages. It comes as delicate negotiations over the return to civilian rule continue with ruling generals and protest leaders. Also, there are more tensions over the fate of the leader of the Shiite IMN group in Nigeria after the bail hearing for Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki is postponed again, days after his group is banned. His followers say that he's gravely ill and accuse authorities of persecution. And Ethiopia's green revolution takes even deeper root. The country claims that it's broken all records by planting 350 million trees in just one day. People stream through the streets to get their hands dirty in the name of tackling deforestation and climate change. But first, schools across North Kordofan in Sudan were closed on Monday after at least 4 school children and 1 adult were shot dead as security forces broke up a student protest in the city of El Obeid. Protest leaders have called for a nationwide rally over the killings. This all comes at a delicate time as negotiations for the return to civilian rule continue with the Transitional Military Council that took over in the wake of President Omar al-Bashir's ousting back in April. Now, demonstrators are also furious that investigators looking into a June 3rd crackdown on a Khartoum sit-in have put the death toll there at just 87, when many believe that the number is more, around 130 killed. Well, Naba Mohideen joins us to unpick all this now. Naba, thanks for speaking to us. So how, at such a sensitive time, could security forces shoot protesting children? How did things get quite so out of hand?
Actually, things went out of control without any reason because the school children are always protesting since al-Bashir time. But this time it was so weird and was so new that security forces and shoot children. This is the first time to do this. So because there was no laws against this, TNC didn't seize the control of the security forces and RSF because they were so busy with the political agreements and with the negotiations.
So what's been happening in El Obeid, the city where it happened, and Khartoum since the killings happened on Monday morning?
In El Obeid right now, the governor of El Obeid has announced the emergency state in the state of North Kordofan and the city of El Obeid, and there is a strike in the big market also. The citizens are in the streets, and also in Khartoum there is big protest against the killing of the innocent school children, and again it's TNC didn't take any action, and actually they said that RSF are not responsible for this. So right now there is very big protest against what happened in El Obeid, and it's really a dangerous situation right now that might affect the talks and the agreement in Sudan.
How do you think it will affect negotiations?
It will affect our negotiation because it will make the street divided into two. Some people said this is a conspiracy thing by the former regime militias, the Islamic militias. They accuse them. They accuse the snipers made this. So it will affect because the street is divided into 2 people who refuse any talks with the TNC and call for escalatory procedures against TNC, while others are protesting and blocking the streets with barricades and burning the tires. So right now they don't trust the TNC. They don't trust even the opposition because the opposition said that no escalatory procedures should take place in Khartoum right now because they know that the time is so sensitive. So it will affect the talks, and actually Communist Party issued their communique saying that they want to suspend talks, and they asked the African mediator in Sudan crisis to suspend the talks right now.
Thanks very much. Naba Mohideen there for us in Khartoum. Well, in Nigeria, the leader of a Shiite group that was banned over the weekend is still being detained after his bail hearing was postponed on Monday. Supporters of the Islamic movement of Nigeria accuse authorities of persecution. Their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki, was arrested back in 2015 but only charged in 2018. He's still in detention despite a 2016 court order to release him. Now, his followers say that he needs urgent medical treatment. Hundreds of IMN followers have been killed by troops over the years, and the group was banned for inciting violence after police clashed with protesters who say that at least 20 of their number were killed last week. Well, Sam Olukoya joins us now with more. Sam, first of all, Zakzaki's followers are worried about his health. What kind of state is he supposed to be in?
By a report by a team of foreign doctors that visited Nigeria some months back, say he needs very urgent attention, medical attention, and this he can only get outside of Nigeria. They talked about toxicity level of his blood, which is very high. I think this has to do with lead poisoning as a result of bullet wounds he had when the military raided his headquarters in Nigeria in 2015. He was said to have sustained 4 bullet wounds. I think one was around the eye area, which he lost. Another one was around the arm, which he has also lost. Some weeks back, he suffered a stroke twice. So it's that I think his members stepped up their campaign for his release as a result of his health condition. I mean, they fear he could no longer stay under the custody of the Nigerian government. Otherwise, he might even lose his life. That's why they've stepped up their campaign that if this team from abroad said he has to get urgent treatment abroad, the Nigerian government has no reason to keep him in detention where he's not having enough treatment.
Now, we've seen that the IMN have been banned over the weekend. What does that mean? What does it mean to be accused of being a terror group?
Well, it's quite a serious offense, depending on how the Nigerian government wants to interpret it. Especially when they say the group is a terrorist organization. If you are arrested by being a member of that group, then it means they could detain you indefinitely, and most times you'll be detained under the custody of the military under very terrible conditions. And if you go to court, if you are sentenced, you could get life imprisonment, or you could be sentenced to death. So it's quite a serious offense. And the fear also is that a law like this could be applied arbitrarily. I mean, we know the Nigerian police is not the best in terms of applying laws. They could pick anybody on the street and say, you belong to this group. So human rights groups have expressed concern that if you ban a group that there's even no evidence that it was involved in terrorism, then it's a way of trying to intimidate them and persecute them.
Thanks very much. Sam Olukoya there for us in Abuja. Well, Boko Haram extremists are suspected of being behind an attack that left 65 people dead in Nigeria's northeast over the weekend. Victims had been coming back from a funeral outside of a village north of Maiduguri when gunmen in motorbikes opened fire on Saturday. No one's yet claimed responsibility, but Boko Haram have often carried out similar attacks over the 10 years of a violent Islamist insurgency. Now, in what's believed to be a world record, Ethiopia says its citizens managed to plant more than 350 million trees in one day. Monday's feat is part of a government push to restore the country's landscape and combat the effects of deforestation and climate change. The country is trying to plant 4 billion trees by this October. Well, on Monday, President Abiy Ahmed joined the streams of people who flocked to do their bit for the environment. They're hoping a true green revolution will take root for the long term.
The rate of deforestation and the expansion of desertification, even at a global level, is because of the destruction of forests. This country was rich with forests before, but now it has been destroyed. So this is a good opportunity to bring it back to where it was.
Environmental issues are a major concern at the global level, but even more so for this country. Most of the problems we face, the famine we see in this country, could be linked to the lack of protection of our environment.
Well, Senegal has been trying to crack down on plastic pollution, but after a 2015 plastic ban failed to make much of a difference, many Senegalese are sceptical that the government is really committed to helping people change their reliance on plastic. Take a look.
Every morning, Babacar Thia needs to get up early to enjoy the view.
Look how beautiful the beach is, but if you come back in a few hours, it will look like a dump.
Thia, who owns a beach bar in Dakar's Virage neighborhood, has witnessed firsthand the impact of plastic pollution in recent years. Like many residents, he has become disillusioned with the government's inability to tackle the issue 4 years after introducing a ban on single-use plastics.
The law to ban plastic was voted in 2015, but it's had no effect at all. Nothing concrete has been done.
The law had been hailed as a turning point for Senegal, but 4 years later, plastic bags remain an integral part of the urban landscape, littering streets, beaches, and landfills. Critics say authorities have not done enough to enforce the ban, leaving businesses free to continue using plastic. And while Senegal's environment minister admitted the law had not produced the expected results, he said police would now start to crack down on offenders, handing out fines of up to 75 euros.
We should have enforced the law immediately, given that it dates back to 2015 and that it's of course applicable.
Senegal, which is one of the continent's worst polluters, is among 34 African countries to have adopted restrictions on plastic in recent years. But the ban has yet to produce any tangible results.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. See you again. Take care.